Well, in terms of the Horowitz report, I'm hearing that a big portion of that will be about the media being complicit, because what they did was they created stories, they leaked it to the media like Yahoo, like Mother Jones, and then those companies reported it, published it, and then the FBI used those same stories that they leaked in the first place as evidence to get the FISA warrant to spy on American citizens.
Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. We have new Q posts that we're going to get into here on the show. They give us a good idea of what's to come, and we're going to look at a bunch of different things happening in the news, and you guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you to all my subscribers. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So, we're going to get right into the latest set of Q posts right now. And unfortunately, we are having a little bit of an issue here with QAnon.pub. And what's the issue? Well, perhaps you don't see it, but I certainly do. They've changed the text on this website that is quite unfortunate what they've done now. This just happened recently, and it's pretty off-putting to me. I can't even barely make out the words on the screen, and I have great vision, so I can only imagine people who don't have the greatest vision would have a tough time reading this text. So I've planned for this, believe it or not. There are other websites that provide the Q post, maybe not with the same functionality as this one, but we'll still be able to use this website for certain things. But I mean, you guys see it right here. They need to change the font back. It's really, really almost unreadable. And like I said, I have better than 20/20 vision. Never had glasses my whole life. This is like straining my eyeballs to try to look at. So we're gonna go over here to Q Post Online. And this is, just another aggregator of the Q posts and a good way to follow them and track them. And there's also QMap and other places as well. But I figure this one is the best format, looks the best for the site. If you guys like one or the other, you can let me know down in the comments whether you like the QMap or you like the Q posts. But you'll just have to let me know that in the comments, and I'll kind of go forward from there. But we're just going to jump right into the latest Q posts because there's only a few, and we're going to get through those, and then we're going to talk about some of the latest news stories coming up and what we have to look forward to this week. So, first of all, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page if you haven't, and you want to get caught up on the latest Q posts. We basically have been following this from the beginning, and if you guys want to go back to the beginning, you can go back as far as you want, watch as many videos as you want, but there's a lot of information here that you guys should go check out if you guys want to get caught up on the latest, and just check out the channel, check out the content. It's all there for you to use, and that's definitely something I always encourage everyone to do at the beginning of each episode. And also, if you don't know what QAnon is and you're scratching and going, what is this guy talking about? Come back here, find this video, What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? It'll give you all that information, everything you need to know. It's a great tool as well for you guys to go use, so I encourage everyone to go check out that content. Now, here's the latest Q post, and the last few, there's not much meat to them, but a lot of people have been speculating, and I think it's a very fair speculation to say that things are actually happening now. We're seeing things take place, and Q's gone quiet for a while. It's kind of in a holding pattern. We come into these holding patterns occasionally where we don't hear from Q as often as we normally do, and that is for a specific reason. It's because there are things that are actually happening. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've covered this in multiple episodes. Everything from raiding posh Beverly Hills mansions and finding thousands of guns and connections to the J. Paul Getty fortune, all the way back, or all the way to what's happening in the port of Long Beach, California, where you have President Trump ordering the Chinese state-owned company Costco to sell their holdings in the Long Beach port, and all the way into stories that I'm going to be getting into with specialized interviews. Now, what does that mean? It means that I'm having experts hopefully come on to discuss some of these things. The first one that I'm excited to have on hopefully will be Mary Fanning. She's an analyst, and she knows what she's talking about, and she's been studying and reporting on this problem with what I'm talking about with the Chinese ports. So we're going to hopefully have her on to have a conversation. And that's something you guys should be looking forward to coming up this week. But there's that and a multitude of other things, not to mention all the information that keeps coming out like a flood about FISA-gate, the corruption, the Obama administration's abuse of FISA, and so much more. So there's a lot coming up this week. You guys are going to want to stick around and check it out. But for here, it says, Q says, boom week ahead. Treason doesn't pay well in the end. Q. And that's what we're going up against. Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Rice, Yates, you name them. Obama, Clinton. Listen, guys, treason doesn't pay well in the end. And we're just continuing to uncover all this information. And I like the theories that a lot of people put out there that just talk about how what we're doing here is we're showing that not only are these politicians corrupt, but the establishment mainstream media is corrupt as well. They're covering for these people. They're not reporting on these stories. And if anything, they're running cover for most of these corrupt operations that were taking place inside of the former administration's White House and DOJ, FBI, and intelligence agencies. So this is really a big story. And apparently this week ahead is going to be pretty big. Now, I'm not sure when this IG report is going to come out, but that's supposed to basically highlight the criminality of many individuals involved with the abuse of FISA, the FISA court. And this all ties back to what we looked at the beginning. That clip you saw with Maria Bartiromo and Lindsey Graham is actually something we're going to watch the rest of here in a bit, where Lindsey Graham is explaining that he's trying to declassify a document right now that will basically show that it was all circular logic or circular evidence, that the media, that the FBI and the DOJ basically took the information being reported by the media, which they planted there, to get the FISA warrants to go spy on President Trump. So they planted the stories in the media, then took those stories to a FISA judge and presented them as corroborating evidence. Now, that's really bad. If any of you know anything about law, that's really bad. So the next post here, QPost, and I forgot to say, we're starting at QPost 3332. We left off at QPost 3331. And the second post here is pretty simple. It just has a link to Representative Doug Collins' Twitter. Now, Representative Doug Collins is one of the main people in the House of Representatives right now, I believe on the committee of the Judiciary, who is working, he's the co-chair of that Judiciary Committee with Jerry Nadler, who's launching his extenuation, the Russia hoax 3.0 at this point. Because you got to remember, there's been like multiple iterations of this Russia hoax that they continue to use as and weaponize for political gain in order to meddle in our elections. That's what the Democrats are doing with this. But Doug Collins is one of the few people who's actually putting the information out there. He's the one who's putting out these transcripts of the conversations that were had between Congress and certain individuals, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, so on, in closed-door sessions that outline the fact that not only did they have complete animus against the president of the United States and a bias against the president, but that they were involved in a quote-unquote insurance plan to try to effectively frame the president or to get dirt on him illegally, meaning illegally spy on him, and then use that illegal spying to affect a political outcome. I mean, this is all like documented, and this is evidence that exists. So if you think about what we're being told here, what we're being told is to look at this page. Why are we looking at this page? Because he's the one who's going to be putting this information out here. And I think this is where we need to just keep our eyes on to know in the coming week where we're going to find some pretty bad, damning information for the Democrats. And I really do believe that. And now Q says eyes on, of course, and it's looking at Doug Collins' page, and that's definitely something we should keep an eye on. Now the next Q post says attempts by Dems, fake news, and those guilty of treason to shape the public narrative prior to by providing falsehoods will fail. Truth to light, no sleep in DC. Q. And this is something that we're seeing on a constant basis. This is not like a one-off thing. What's happening here is they're trying to shape the public narrative to ignore facts, reason, and logic. And that's their whole goal. That's why, it's interesting to turn on a channel like CNN, for instance, and you watch a guy like Don Lemon, who, and I was just watching this the other day, where after President Trump's taxes were released and all of that information was put out there, which wasn't really a bombshell, or it was something that we all already knew. It had already been reported on widely, that he had lost billions of dollars and then come back. It was pretty incredible comeback story, and kind of a sign of success of a successful person. But Don Lemon just is like cackling, like and laughing, and with this menacing, laugh, and just this weird, evil looking, grin on his face that just reminded me of somebody who is a rabidly non-partisan, or a rabidly partisan individual who has no idea or concept of what it means to be a reporter of the news, I guess. I mean, I don't claim to be a reporter of the news. Yes, we talk about news stories here. Of course, I have an opinion. This is an editorialized video where I tell you what I think of things and we discuss them, and that's really what this is. But these people who present themselves as like straight up newscasters on networks like CNN really do the whole country a disservice when they get up there and they not only twist and take things out of context, stories about political adversaries that they see as adversaries, at least, they do it in a way that is very deceptive. They do it in a way that misleads so many people, and is really just kind of, I think, what Q's pointing out here. It's all one big machine. The Dems, the fake news, and the ones who are guilty of the treason are working, overtime right now, because they know that this whole scandal, everything that we've been talking about, is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, proverbially speaking, because we know the corruption exists. Now, once we start finding actual proof, then it becomes, how deep does this rabbit hole really go? And one thing we know about Q is the rabbit hole goes very deep, and it gets into some pretty disturbing subject areas, which to me are uncomfortable to talk about, but they have to be brought to light, and we must start here with this right now. And of course, they're going to fail, because their falsehoods will eventually be shown to be falsehoods. The problem is, my biggest fear right now is that they're weaponizing all of this information, and their big platforms, like, and the big tech social media platforms, and the mainstream media networks are weaponizing it, and their platforms, to a degree that they're going to have an incredible impact on the 2020 election. And I don't even think anybody realizes how much they can sway the way the elections go in this country. So I really am concerned about that, but hopefully people behind the scenes, I trust they're working on that as we speak. And of course, here's the last one. One of my favorites. You can't make this up, right? Q just points to this. I guess one of the Anons posted this picture. It's with Comey standing in the middle of a road, which he's known on his Twitter for being one of those weirdos who he has people take pictures of him standing in places and then makes weird, cryptic statements. It's obviously he's trying to communicate through his Twitter, because he knows every other form of communication he has is being monitored. So it's like, why not hide it in plain sight, right? Make it so visible that nobody could ever accuse you of communicating secretly, although that's exactly what's happening. And I love how the Anons photoshopped in here this big Pepe Moab bomb. It says, of course, the expletive there. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we have to expect coming up. Now, of course, going over here, again, apologies for the text. If any of the guys who are running this site are watching, please do us all a favor and just change the text back to whatever it was before. This is awful, almost unbearable, unable to be read. But remember, back on December 5th of 2018, Q has been telling us about James Comey, and we go all the way back with James Comey to January of 2018, where basically it was talking about the connection between Rod Rosenstein and James Comey and how he signed off and endorsed on that. But this is the one I wanted to talk about, because speaking of tweets, so we go back here and look at this, which is a meme that's based off of the fact that Comey makes these weird tweets, which are basically, in my opinion, they're just coded messages for people that are hidden in plain sight, if you will. But what I thought was very interesting is going back here. If you guys will remember, we actually had a point where this was the actual verbiage of a tweet that was put out by James Comey. And what Q did was Q deciphered that for us, told us exactly what the message was hidden within those words, hidden in plain sight for the whole world to see. And it said basically the text that's in the what you might call bold, even though I can barely see it, and brackets, is what is being implied, and the other text, the regular text, is the actual message in the tweet. So this is James Comey's tweet. He says, Special Agent Andrew McCabe stood tall over the last 8 months. Do not talk is the message there. When small people, aka sheep, were trying to tear down an institution we all depend on, aka their cover, he served with distinction for 2 decades, aka we own you and your family. Says, I wish Andy well. That's not good. You guys know what that means. And if you don't, you can Google 187 and you'll figure it out pretty quick. But it says, I also wish continued strength for the rest of the FBI. General threat to others at the FBI, meaning anyone else thinking of talking or turning state witness and going against these people, they should reconsider that. That was basically a threat. And then it says, America needs you. And of course that meant activate sleeper cells, whatever that means. So, and you could take that any number of ways, but if you go back to January of 2018, since then, the amount of leaking, the amount of people who have just completely violated their confidentiality and they're violated the law basically by leaking confidential information, classified information to the media, including James Comey himself, who admitted to it on Capitol Hill, which is like, okay, you just admitted to, illegally leaking classified information, but I guess there's nothing going to come for that. But I think there is something coming. What's going to end up happening is we're going to have an indictment of James Comey, I believe. Now, I'm not sure exactly what all the charges are going to be at this point, but I can tell you for sure right now that as far as what Q's been pointing at, we are definitely going to be getting some sort of indictment on James Comey coming soon, and or we're going to have incredible revelations coming out through the IG report, which are going to force, hopefully, the Department of Justice to act and to start bringing these people, indicting them and bringing them to trial for their crimes. So another thing is the original IG report never talked about what Q's talked about, Gmail drafts. Now, I've talked about this in many videos. I haven't talked about it in a while. Let me just explain what the Gmail draft idea is. So as Q has alluded to before, the deep state, these individuals were using very clever ways to communicate with one another. One of the ways they did it was video games. So they would both sign into a video game, I don't know, like Minecraft. And because there's the feature in that game that you can go and chat, or you can, leave things in very secluded places where other players can come find them, meaning like messages, that was a way they were communicating. And when Q pointed this out, you saw the entire Xbox Live network go down globally, basically, because when Q basically showed that we know that that's how they were communicating, they had to go and wipe all the servers and make sure there was no evidence of their crimes left. Now, another way they communicated secretly in a clandestine manner apparently was this Gmail draft scheme, I guess you would call it, where what they would do is you would make a Gmail account, then you would share that login information with someone else. So say you have the same login credentials as I do. So I go log in, I write an email, I save it as a draft, but then I don't send it. Then you log into that same account, you can pull up that same drafted email, you can read it, leave a response draft, and you never have to send an email over the internet, basically. which I think is kind of stupid because, Google obviously has all those anyway, but Google was in on it. That's why the whole beginning of this was talking about Eric Schmidt and his involvement in North Korea and his involvement with the deep state. They were all running flack for each other. So it's big tech, it's mainstream media, it's corrupt politicians all in bed together working against you and we, the American people. So, I mean, this is an incredible scandal that we're really uncovering here. And I really do believe that this is what's going to come out, where Hussein Barak was using this Gmail system to clandestinely send messages, which constitutes an incredible violation of federal record keeping laws, and not to mention what the content of those actual emails were. So that's the last of the Q posts, right, as for now. And with that being said, there's a few other stories. Like, first of all, let's watch the little bit more of this, because I thought this was very fascinating. This is Lindsey Graham's response. You guys saw the question at the beginning. Here's Lindsey Graham's response to that question.
There's a document that's classified that I'm going to try to get unclassified that takes the dossier, all pages of it, and it has verification to one side. There really is no verification other than media reports that were generated by reporters who received the dossier. So the bottom line is the dossier has never been independently confirmed. It was used to get a warrant. They knew the author of the dossier was on the Democratic Party payroll. He hated Trump. They got the warrant anyway. Most Americans should be upset about that. I'm very upset about it, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So you saw there, he's going to declassify a document that's going to show the media's complicity in all of this, and how they basically did exactly what I explained earlier. The media, they leaked there. They basically gave this false intelligence to the media who reported it, which they then in turn took as corroborating evidence to use in a FISA court to spy on the president, or to spy on people around the president. So that's about as dirty as it gets. And speaking of Gmails and Google and all that stuff, here's an interesting story I want to share before we sign off here. A handful of left-leaning sources dominate Google's top stories. Duh. I'm sorry, but this is an article that's coming out about a study that's basically telling us something we already know. That when you make a search on Google, all it's going to do is pull up ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CBS, Vox, BuzzFeed, and you might be lucky to find a Fox News article way down at the bottom, but that would be if you're really lucky, if you're searching some really innocuous term or whatever. But this is really sad, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that I think we need to really start to wake up to the fact that social media, these big tech Silicon Valley companies, can have a huge impact on America as a whole, and could have an incredible effect at meddling in and tampering with our elections. So if you want free and fair elections, if you're on the left or the right, we should be addressing Google. We should be addressing YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest, because this is important. I mean, the mainstream media has their bias. They've already presented it, and now it's very obvious that the big tech companies, social media companies in Silicon Valley have decided whose side they're on. And it's not yours, and it's not mine. And that's really disturbing with that amount of power. We really have to be careful. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up. A few things before we go, if you guys want to stick around. First of all, you can come here, as I always say, watch these videos. If you want to get caught up, share them on your social media. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you have not already, and make sure you hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. Plus, I want to hear what you have to think about everything, so leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear your thoughts on everything that we talked about today, and any insights you guys have that you would like to share otherwise. So with that being said, a few more things before we go. First of all, if you guys are interested, it is coming up again. This is a conference that I'm going to be attending, and you can be there too. If you are already in South Florida, or you're planning to be in South Florida between October 10th and 12th, I encourage you all to check out this incredible conference. It is the American Priority Conference. They have just opened up their registration for the October conference. It is going to be held at the Trump National at Doral in Miami, South Florida. You guys are going to want to be there to come and meet me and a bunch of other incredible people who are there. And it's going to be a great time, guys. It's going to be a whole list of people. We're going to have an agenda coming out soon, and there's going to be a whole list of events. There's going to be a golf tournament. There's going to be basically a bunch of different panels and a bunch of different speakers. Last year, one of the keynote speakers there was Roger Stone, and it's just a great organization that's centered on free speech. It's run by my good friend Alex Phillips. Here's the website you need to go to. I'll leave a link to it down in the description if you guys want to come and hang out with me. We have about 150 days, so you have a lot of time, but I'm putting this out there now. If you guys want to come check out the American Priority Conference, I want to see you guys there. I want to have an opportunity to be face-to-face. I met so many great people last year, including a lot of you who watch this show regularly. So if you guys want to get involved in this, I encourage you to come here. There'll be a link in the description. It's AmericanPriority.com, and you guys go down there and check out that link. That will get you tickets to come and see the conference and hang out. Another few ways you can help. You can come here and you can find me over on Twitter at JustInformYou, of course. That is at JustInformYou, the Twitter handle. On Twitter, you guys come here, give me a follow, and check out my stuff. If you guys like it, that's cool. I really encourage you to do that. It's a good way for us to have a conversation outside of the channel. Also, another way you can help out is to come over here and find me on justinformednews.com. That's the official website for Just Informed Talk. It's got links to all the different Q stuff, links to different news organizations, links to different breaking news, and of course the videos right here, which are another tool. It's another place for you guys to go and get this content if you guys want it. So I'm really excited about that. You guys should definitely go check that out. Another couple ways you can help are both financial. Patreon, the crowdfunding website, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. You come here, give as little as $1 and know you're helping create content on this channel. I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for your support. All you gotta do is come here to Patreon, click this button. There'll be a link in the description, and you sign up. It's a monthly donation. Set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content here on the channel. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or an anonymous donation. That helps out as well. So both those links will be in the description with all of the other links to everything else. So you guys want to go check that out. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. So for today's episode, there are some words I want to share with you. And I think they're words of wisdom for us to live by. And it's talking about trusting in the Lord and what that means. And I want to share this. This is out of Proverbs chapter 3, and it's verses 8 through, I think, 11, or 7 through 11. It says, "Don't consider yourself to be wise. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. This will be healing for your body and strengthening for your bones. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first produce of your entire harvest. Then your barns will be completely filled, and your vats will overflow with new wine. Do not despise the Lord's instruction, my son, and do not loathe his discipline. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, just as a father the son he delights in." Well, what is that saying? Well, to me, it's an important message for us to remember that our lives should be for God. Everything we have, we need to put to God and say, "Lord, help me find a way to use this for your glory. Lord, help me find a way to do this for your glory. Lord, help me find a way to let these words speak to your glory in our lives." And remember that when we go through hardship, when we go through adversity, when struggle occurs, that if we see it or perceive it as some sort of punishment from God, well, maybe we should take the consideration that just as a father loves his son and must discipline his son because of that love, because he wants his son to be great, he wants his son to have a happy, safe, healthy life, so too God can come into our lives in that way. And that's the message I'm leaving you guys with. So I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Again, I want to say thanks. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the like button if you guys want to see more of this content. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.